Niccolò Machiavelli was not a man who romanticized human nature. He did not sugarcoat the intentions of others, nor did he expect virtue to govern the actions of men. What he understood better than most is that in a world of competition, deception, and ambition, weakness is not just a disadvantage. It is an invitation to be dominated, ignored, or destroyed. In his writings, particularly The Prince, Machiavelli outlines a ruthless but honest framework. To survive, you must first recognize weakness in yourself and others, because those who cannot recognize weakness are doomed to fall victim to it. This script dives deep into 10 behaviors that instantly expose weak men, based on Machiavellian philosophy, modern psychology, and hard-earned reality. These traits aren't just signs of internal softness. They are loud signals to the world that this man can be overpowered, manipulated, or dismissed. This isn't about shame. This is about awareness. If you want to become dangerous, powerful, respected, you must first know where you bleed. And you must seal those wounds with discipline, not delusion. Let's begin. Weak men don't walk into a room. They shrink into it. Their presence doesn't command attention. It begs for permission. And their lives aren't driven by purpose. They are dictated by reaction. The first behavior that exposes a weak man is his constant need for approval. He seeks validation from others because he has none for himself. Compliments, likes, reassurances. These are his lifelines. He tailors his identity to suit the expectations of those around him, hoping that if he pleases enough people, he might finally feel worthy. But Machiavelli would scoff at this. A prince must project strength, not chase approval. A leader must mold perception, not be molded by it. A man who lives off the opinions of others is a man who will die with their disapproval. Weakness, in this form, is dependency. And dependency is slavery. Second, a weak man is revealed by his emotional impulsivity. He cannot control his temper, his jealousy, or his fear. His moods are unpredictable and contagious. He is a puppet of emotion rather than a master of it. Machiavelli believed that rulers must learn to be cold when necessary, to separate feeling from decision. The man who reacts emotionally in moments that require logic will always lose. He will say things he regrets. He will destroy alliances. He will trade long-term strategy for short-term relief. Third, a weak man avoids responsibility. He blames the economy, his parents, the government, or his ex-girlfriend for where he is in life. To him, everything is someone else's fault. Machiavelli recognized that fortune plays a role in life, but he also praised those who adapt and conquer their circumstances. Weak men outsource their accountability. Strong men internalize their control. When you blame the world, you give it power. When you take ownership, you take the throne. Fourth, weak men fear confrontation. They avoid difficult conversations, hide their opinions, and retreat when challenged. They confuse being liked with being respected. But Machiavelli warned us, it is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. Because fear earns compliance. Love fades. The man who avoids conflict becomes a doormat. He is stepped on by the assertive, dismissed by the powerful, and forgotten by the world. Fifth, weakness leaks through indecisiveness. He cannot choose a path. He questions every move. He starts but doesn't finish. His uncertainty is paralyzing. Machiavelli wrote that a prince must act boldly, even when the outcome is uncertain. Action carries weight. Hesitation invites predators. A man who wavers in decisions becomes a liability. He cannot be relied upon. He cannot lead. 6. He fears rejection more than stagnation. A weak man fears rejection more than stagnation. He will remain stuck, small, voiceless, just to avoid someone telling him no. He doesn't risk asking for what he wants. He doesn't chase, demand, or pursue. Rejection terrifies him. So, he lives in submission to fear. But Machiavelli taught that fortune favors the bold, that to achieve greatness, one must take the offensive. To fear rejection is to worship the opinions of others. A strong man builds his path knowing he will face rejection, but trusts himself to endure it. 7. He overshares emotions indiscriminately. A weak man overshares his emotions indiscriminately. Vulnerability, when controlled, is power. But the man who spills his heart to everyone, who cries too easily, who cannot regulate his emotional outbursts, becomes a burden. Machiavelli prized control over self and others. The weak man believes he earns love through emotional exposure, but in truth, he often drains those around him. He hasn't mastered his emotions. He's drowning in them. 8. He cannot lead himself. A weak man cannot lead himself. He needs routines forced upon him. He won't go to the gym unless he has a partner. He won't work unless someone supervises. He won't wake early unless someone else forces him to. He needs external force to create internal movement. But Machiavelli believed that a leader must have the strength to move forward even when alone. The weak man, dependent on structure provided by others, cannot be trusted to lead anyone, not even himself. 9. He gossips. A weak man gossips. He speaks ill of others behind their backs, hoping to earn favor. He shares secrets not to build connection, but to manipulate. This is cowardice disguised as communication. It reveals envy, pettiness, a lack of discipline. Machiavelli knew the importance of information, but he also knew that spreading venom weakens your image. A ruler who gossips loses the respect of his court. A man who gossips loses the respect of his peers. To speak of others when they are not present is often a reflection of fear, not strength. 10. He depends on circumstance to feel powerful. A weak man depends on circumstances to feel powerful. He's only confident when praised, only assertive when winning, only courageous when he's comfortable. His power is external, not internal. When life challenges him, he crumbles. True strength, according to Machiavelli, is inconstancy, the ability to remain composed, even when storms rage. The weak man has no anchor. He rides waves instead of breaking them. This dependency is tragic because it means the man is never truly free. He is a slave to circumstance, and such a man cannot lead himself, let alone others. Now let us reflect. These 10 behaviors are not isolated. They build on one another. A man who avoids discomfort will seek validation. A man who over-apologizes likely cannot say no. Weakness compounds, layer by layer, until the man is nothing but a hollow shell. Kind on the surface, powerless underneath. This script is not about cruelty. It is about clarity. Machiavelli didn't hate the weak. He simply knew they didn't rule. And if you do not rule your life, someone else will. To purge these weaknesses, begin with honesty. Ask yourself, do I fear rejection more than mediocrity? Do I act to impress others or to fulfill purpose? Do I fold under emotional pressure? Do I gossip to feel relevant? Do I need permission to assert myself? If the answer to any is yes, then let this be your wake-up call. Weakness is not fate. It is choice, repetition, avoidance. But it can be reversed. Machiavelli would advise mastery, not kindness, not likability, but strength, power, clarity of purpose. Become a man who does not waver, who does not need applause, who can act in silence and bear solitude. The man who walks through life with spine, with poise, with discipline, is a threat to all that is mediocre. And women, men, kings, enemies, they all recognize that. This is your invitation to evolve, to cut the weakness from your character like dead weight, to rise above the noise, to walk like a prince, not by birthright, but by the sheer force of will. Welcome to the Machiavelli Guide, where men learn not just to exist, but to dominate, with silence, strategy, and strength. Remember this: power is never given. It is taken, and only the strong have the hands to hold it.